Hey listeners, it's Kara, your host. After 176 amazing episodes and hundreds of book recommendations, I wanted to make it a little bit easier for you to find your next great read. The Bookish Lights Roadmap is your guide to all 175 podcast episodes, sorted by genre so you can quickly find the stories that fit your reading mood. From picture books to adult novels and everything in between, it's the perfect way to explore past episodes and discover new favorites. You can find your copy of the Bookish Lights Roadmap at www.bookishlights.com/read/roadmap, or just click the link in the show notes. Hi, I'm Kara Infante, and this is Bookish Flights, a podcast where we tell our stories through our favorite books. Each episode features a bookish guest where we will talk about reading, life, and the seasons we're in, all through a thoughtfully paired book flight of recommendations for you. If you're looking for meaningful book recommendations and a space to slow down, you're in the right place. Welcome back to Bookish Flights. Today I'm joined by Chawna Schroeder, a fantasy writer who describes herself as a boundary stretcher, someone who loves exploring what it means to live beyond the boxes we often place around ourselves, our faith, and even our imagination. After more than 2 decades studying the craft of writing, Chawna has created richly layered stories that blend faith, philosophy, and speculative world building. Today we're talking about Perplexity, the second book in her Scepter and the Silas series, a story filled with political intrigue, hidden dangers, and characters navigating loss, responsibility, and purpose. Welcome to the show, Chawna.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Yes, I love starting off with tell us a little bit more about who you are, because I feel like we're so much more than these bios.
Well, yeah, because you're supposed to cram so much in such a little space on those things.
Yes.
Um, I'm a bibliophile. That probably wouldn't come as a surprise to anyone. I love books. They come and come out of my ears. I've loved books from a very young age. I love them now. Obviously, I write them. I curate a books independent bookstore with all of my 500 fictional best friends, as I call them, and then
That
I
is
take
so
them
fun.
to like homeschool conferences to help promote those stories. I keep an online store, no brick and mortar at this point. So yeah, I love books. I'm a Bible nerd. I read both Greek and Hebrew. I love studying scripture. I love teaching scripture. I have a Bible study I write and teach every week. Um, Beyond that, I just fill my world with things like handcrafts. I enjoy things like weaving, crochet, cross stitch. So more than enough to keep me busy.
Yeah, exactly my point, right? I would have never guessed all of those things from reading that short bio about you. Like, there's so many ways we could take this, and I want to know more. So, when you say you read Greek and Hebrew, did you learn that so you could read the original text of the Bible?
Yeah, that was the point of it. I had a
Yeah.
retired pastor in a previous church that loved teaching the original languages for the biblical languages. So I learned from him how to read both biblical Greek and biblical Hebrew.
Yeah, because I host a Bible study as well, and we use a program. But every time I learn, like, oh, that's the Greek way to say that, and that's actually more what it meant in Scripture. I'm just so fascinated. It makes me want to learn more of it, so I could do that myself.
Well, it's a real gift and a real treasure. I love studying it. Again, there's my book side coming through because I'm the word nerd. I have to know the words. I want to know what they precisely mean because they're there for a reason.
Yeah, my 5-year-old could probably use you in his pocket because he is very intrigued about why we call things what we call them. And he is always asking me, I'm like, I don't know why they named it trash can. Just not quite sure, but they named it that.
Hmm. Oh yeah, it's fun to know why. I'm right
Yeah.
there with them. When you find out what the trash can answer is, let me know.
Yeah, one day I'll research that, but he comes up with these very interesting questions, and I love it though because you can see their imagination at work. So don't get me wrong, but sometimes I'm like, mommy just doesn't have an answer to that.
Oh no, my mom had the same problem,
Yes, well, I'll
and she
have to.
didn't have Google.
Yeah, exactly. We couldn't just look things up back then.
No.
Yeah. Well, we're here today to talk about the second book in your series, Perplexity. Can you tell the listeners that maybe haven't had a chance to read it yet a little bit about it?
Mhm. Well, Perplexity, as you said, is the second in a three-book series, a trilogy. In a traditional fantasy format, it is the middle part of the story. So these are not standalone pieces. This is the middle of a three-part story,
Okay.
very similar to what you would see with something like Lord of the Rings, where it's one continuous story over the three
Sure.
books. It's very traditional fantasy format. The entire series is inspired by A Little Princess, which happens to be my all-time favorite novel.
Love it.
So it has very strong historical vibes of kind of that Victorian era. Part of the world is inspired by both Victorian England. Half of the world is inspired by Victorian India due to the head nods to A Little Princess.
Yeah.
It follows a really wealthy student. No shock there if you know The Little Princess. And then a crown prince who are both dealing with a lot of opposition of people who are trying to get them removed from their positions that they hold. And that really comes to the forefront in Perplexity, that they're both now facing head on antagonists. They're like, we don't want you in that position. We're going to do everything we can to get you out of that position. So,
Yeah. Well, then I guess I feel like we should also give the listeners a little bit about Illuminary too. So that way they could start at book one in the beginning of the story.
yeah. So Luminaries book one, again, it's the same two protagonists. It's the wealthy student, the crown prince in that place. We start with she's headed to a really elite school. Again, all the head nods to A Little Princess when she goes to Miss
Sure.
Mitchen's boarding house. So she's going to a really elite school to finish her education. She wants to become an illuminator. And she ends up getting tagged with a crown prince who's in her country hiding because of a slew of assassination attempts that have been made on his life, directly leading up to his coronation that's supposed to be coming up in a few months.
Wow.
So we start there with the two of
A
them.
lot of drama right there.
Yeah, so we start there where he's, prince in disguise, hiding out in another country. She's just trying to survive the school world that she doesn't want to be at. So yeah, and then they get involved in a quest, and all kinds of things go haywire with that.
Yeah. Oh, it sounds so fun. So, listeners, if you listened to Angela Bell's episode, which I cannot remember right off the top of my head what number episode that was, but she introduced me to your books. I had not heard of your books at that point, and I could listen to her talk about books all day long. Just the way that she describes them, I was like, I will read anything you tell me to read because she makes them so interesting and unique. And I loved that about her book too, right? Because it was very unique. And so she described yours as if you loved uniqueness, you'll never read another book like Perplexity. Like I just read it and I knew, or I'm sorry, Illuminary, because it was Illuminary at the time. But she was like, I had never read anything like it. So she's like, if you're looking for a book like that, make sure you grab this book.
Well, ditto to her book because I love Lady's Guide to Marvel and Misadventure. I always get the title mixed up, but
Yes.
I love her book as well. It's
I
so fun and so quirky. I love those characters.
I
Another
know.
great character cast.
Yes, so if you're looking for unique books, there you are, right there. So the title Illuminating and Perplexity, I was very intrigued by them when I heard them. Does that word have a representation in the story, or how did you come up with that?
A luminary is a unique fantasy word. It's actually a combination of the concepts of an illumination. It's a head nod to the fact of the illuminated manuscript concept. And then a luminary, no I in the front. Luminaries are like the candles, or,
Yeah,
fireworks are sometimes
sure.
called luminaries. So the term is a coined term, and in the story, an illuminary is defined as one who brings light into the darkness and reveals that which is hidden.
I
So
love that.
the main heroine, Yosi, is called an illuminary by her father. So she's his little illuminary. And then you see that particular attribute of her kind of pop in and out throughout the stories in a variety of
Yeah,
different ways.
that's beautiful.
Perplexity is a little more straightforward. It's a real word, and it's exactly what it sounds like because at this point, everything is utter confusion. Everything that they thought they knew going through book one, all of it gets blown straight out the window. Nothing turns out the way they expected.
Sure.
All of their expectations are just blown to smithereens. So the book is named very bluntly for just the utter chaos and confusion that they both step into.
Yeah. How fun. I cannot wait to read them. What is your wish for the readers? What do you hope they'll take away when they pick up this series?
I think at the deepest core, I would love them to walk away assured that God really is in control. I know I'm writing a fantasy story. I'm writing a fictional story, but I was really hoping that the story would orchestrate itself out in a way to help them see that yes, when things go awry, when perplexity hits, when all of those expectations that we have for life go out the window, everything we thought we knew is turned upside down. When God decides not to act the way we really think he ought to,
Or on our
uh,
timeline?
and especially not on our timeline, but when he starts taking U-turns that you never saw coming,
Yeah.
I want them to be assured that yes, even in that, he is in control and there is a very definite purpose for having you walk that path. And the best thing you can do is simply to trust that he knows what he's doing and that you just keep following him wherever he leads, even if it doesn't make any sense to you whatsoever.
Yeah. And I think when we've trusted in the past and you can look back and reflect it, not saying it's easier to do, but you can see where God had a better plan than you ever thought, was possible, because we think we know exactly what we need, right? And his plan was that much more, and it's almost like you're taking a right turn and you couldn't even have predicted what he would plan for you.
Oh no, he's very good about those right turns, left turns, unexpected turns. And no, you can't orchestrate the story he would have told. But yeah, I fully believe when we get to sometimes we can look back on chapters and see it really clearly, but I really fully when you get to the end of everything, you'll be able to look back and say, yeah, that was the perfect plan. And
Yeah.
I couldn't have written it better even if I had the opportunity to rewrite it.
Yeah. I think that I had a conversation recently, a couple weeks ago, with an author. It has not come out yet, but we were talking about how you can still learn and experience through fantasy or fictional stories, right? In the sense of like, oh, well, I'd love to be a bit more like that. You learn from characters, or oh, maybe I don't want to be like that. So, you preface that with like, I know it's a fantasy and it's a fictional story, but I think you can still learn so much about life through these
Oh yeah.
books. Yeah.
Oh, I fully believe that. I wouldn't write fiction if I didn't.
Yeah.
It's the closest we really have to walking in another's shoes, for example.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, even film can't replicate that. You don't get to walk into someone's head in film.
Yeah.
Fiction's the only place you get to really step into somebody's head. It's your chance to experience life through a different set of lenses. It allows you to experience life that you haven't experienced yet.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, what part of writing this series or even this book was the most exciting or meaningful to you?
What was the most meaningful or exciting part of writing it? The whole thing has been a journey. It's been a really wild journey um, because I've been right there alongside the characters.
Yeah.
I've had to write the whole series blind, which is a little weird. I don't necessarily plot my stories out in
Okay.
advance, but God has made sure that I've had to walk with that complete dependence and go when a left turn shows up and I have no idea why that turn showed up in the book that it's there for a reason. And he made doubly sure I didn't have much choice about it because working under deadline this time, which is a first for me, I was literally cutting deadlines really close, as in I was finishing up some's first draft material the day the book was due.
Wow.
So
Oh
I was
boy.
cutting things really close, especially with perplexity. I kept looking and going, I don't see how this is going to happen. There's no way this can be done. And of course, it's one complete story. I have no idea where book three is going. I have no chance to go back and revise book one to make sure it's going to foreshadow all the things I'm going to have happen in book
Yeah.
three. I've had to trust every step of the way that everything would be provided without me working for it in some respects, that God would stick everything there exactly when it needed to be there, how it needed to be there. And that has been a very stretching journey. It's still
Yes.
ongoing because I got to
So
get book
even
3
for the
done.
reader, right? But it's happening for the author, the same
Oh,
type of
it's very
stretch.
much. Oh yeah, it's very much a stretch. If they get to the end of book 3 and wonder how I backplanted everything, I can tell them very bluntly up front, it was not me.
There was a greater author behind me.
Hmm.
Well, what kind of reader do you think would enjoy this series?
Readers who enjoy um, large character casts, who enjoy watching characters interact on a very normal level, someone who's looking to escape isn't the word I'm looking for, who wants to be able to step into a story and rest for a while in
I
many
love
respects.
that. Yeah.
I've been told my story is very unrushed in many respects because it's a very different pacing than many fantasies. It's not the high adventure, high action war story or high battle scenes that are so common in the fantasy genre. It
Sure.
very much has that feel of The Little Princess, where it's walking through a normal everyday life with some weird things happening.
Yeah.
So, someone who's looking to step away from life and just get sucked into a beautiful story for a time,
Yeah.
in hopes of getting a chance to refresh, reboot, to rest. Who enjoys puzzles? All the stories have different puzzles in them.
Oh,
So
that's a fun
if
twist.
you like things like National Treasure, where they're following the scavenger hunt idea,
Yes.
but yeah, if you like those kind of puzzle jigsaw clues and following the clues to a point, that's a good reader for the story as well. And if you love A Little Princess, yes.
There you go. Got to add that last
Oh, you
piece
have to.
there. Well, what did you learn about yourself through writing this?
Um, in some respects, I've already touched a lot of it, having to let go of the control. I've had to learn not so much difference on who I am, but just learning that complete dependence on God as I walk through the story,
Yeah.
and that He is very trustworthy, that He does provide everything on time when He says He'll do it.
Yeah.
Um, so in reverse, I guess it showed that sometimes I still freak out really well with when things don't go according to plan. Um, Time is an area I struggle really hard with, even more than other areas of trust. Time is a really hard area for me to trust. So that's probably what it's shown. And then I've had to learn the flip of, this is what God said. How much do you trust Him?
Yeah. Yeah. That leap of faith, right? Right
Mhm.
there. So I don't know if this, this is like not a question you don't know the answer to. So you say book 3, it's not written yet, but is there a timeline for that?
There is a timeline. So
Okay.
book 3, I am in the middle of writing right now.
Okay.
I actually have to turn it into the editor by April 1st. So by the time this airs, it should be into the editor.
Yeah.
And then it's supposed to release basically 1 year later. So it should be
Okay.
releasing in April of 2027 if everything goes
Perfect.
according to plan.
Wonderful. Well, yeah, and should you get hooked in that story, listeners, you can be waiting for that book next April. So
Hmm.
wonderful. Well, let's switch gears a little bit and let's talk about who you are as a reader. What genres do you enjoy?
Everything, almost everything. I should quit call it is
Yeah.
almost everything. I can't read horror.
Yeah.
I don't do well with horror. Again, reader, writer, overactive imagination does not mix well.
Yeah.
I don't like the idea of being stuck with no way out, which is a basic component of most horror stories. So,
Yeah.
not a fan of horror. Um, but I will read almost anything else. I just love a really great story. So, contemporaries, classics. I will read fantasy, historical, rom-com, um, mystery, suspense, basically you name it. I probably have read something somewhere along the way that I really enjoyed just because I just love a good story.
Yeah, like you said, being a bibliophile, right? Like you
Hmm. I just love
explore it
books.
all. Yeah.
Is it a book? Then there's a good chances I might like it.
Yeah,
Tell me a great
absolutely.
story and I will love it.
It's as simple as that.
It really is.
How in your busyness do you find time to read?
I try to block out time to read. Usually my evenings are reserved for at least some time to read. It's not always easy. The pile to be read is always it's bigger than me.
Yep.
It's taller than me. I've never actually measured how many books I'm up to now that are on the to be read pile, but it's very large.
Yeah.
So I don't have enough time to read. I will be the first to admit it. I don't find enough time to read. I would love to read more. Um, but it's me setting aside time. Sometimes Saturday afternoons is a good time for me to do some reading. Like I said, evenings when I've gotten done with writing and work and internet and all the stuff that I have to do during the day.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I'm very much the same. I feel like I can't sit down until I feel like my to-do list is done. Otherwise, then I'm reading and it's like half nagging me that I need to go address something that's on that to-do list. And so, yeah, I'm very much the same. But then, unfortunately, at night, I'm like falling asleep with a couple pages because I'm pretty much toast by then.
I don't usually fall asleep. My problem is then I end up staying up too late
Oh, yeah.
because a story is creates a high for me. It actually triggers an adrenaline rush. If I really love the story, it's going to cause an adrenaline rush. So it will actually keep me up. I've never actually fallen asleep reading a story.
Yes. I wish
So
I had that.
so I really have to watch it and really temper it so that I have time to actually I have to have about 30 minutes to wind down before I can actually sleep after reading. So I have to be really careful with those limitations. And when you get stuck in a really good book, sometimes drawing that line is very
Yeah, because you just want to know what's happening, right? Like,
hard.
where is
I'm
the
ready. It's like,
story
who
going?
cares about tomorrow? Tomorrow will worry about itself. I just need to finish the book.
Yeah. And who cares if I'm tired? I like
Yeah.
often will tell myself, like, I'll sleep when I'm dead,
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's no big deal until I get up the next morning and I pay the consequences. Like, oh yeah, I still have to work today.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whoops.
Life is still happening today. Well, I ask all of our guests to bring three books in the form of a book flight. Can you tell us how you chose these books?
The three books I brought, I chose much like the cast that I did with Illuminary. I chose an ensemble cast book and what I called found family. So in other words, the characters act like a family unit in some way or form. They're really close knit or become very close knit, but they don't start off that way. They're not. Most of the characters are not related to each other if they're related at all. So
Yeah,
I basically picked kind of that found family feel with the big cat ensemble cast for the books.
I love that. I interviewed Amanda Cox a while back, and she had referred to books that were catnip for her. And I have just adopted that saying because I absolutely loved it and found family as mine. So I'm so glad to talk about these books today. What's the first book you brought?
The first book I brought, I decided on Recorder by Kathy McCrum. This is an adult science fiction, so it's just kind of adjacent to my fantasy genre. It
Okay.
is it is a it is adjacent. It's not fantasy. Some people get them mixed up.
Yeah.
Fantasy tends to be deal with alternate worlds. It tends to deal with the supernatural. Science fiction generally is futuristic. It's a lot of technology and science. So that's what kind of
I'm
separates the
actually
two.
really glad you said that because I don't think we have talked about the difference between the two on the show. Like we've had science fiction flights and we've
Mhm.
had fantasy flights, but we've never really differentiated, like talked about the differences.
Mm.
So thank you for doing that for
Yeah.
us.
Well, I find a lot of readers, especially if they're not familiar with the genres, get them mixed up and they'll kind of lump them together. And it's like,
Yeah.
those are actually two different genres that kind of poke at two different heart holes for you. Yeah, you kind of need to delineate. So yeah, the first one is Recorder by Kathy McCrum.
Yeah.
It's an adult science fiction novel. I think it's classified as soft sci, but I'm not that good to delineate all the science fiction
Sure.
subgenres. It's basically the story of Recorder. A recorder in her world is basically someone who's been a child that's been abandoned to the government, who's then raised to be a completely unbiased outside observer of events.
Oh,
So
okay.
very isolated, almost robotic in the way she thinks, very black and white. And there's not she thinks very logically, not a lot of emotion.
Yeah.
Um, so, and basically, she is given the responsibility because her job is to observe, is that she's sent with a crew to a science station on one of the outlying rocks that has gone dark. In other words, there's no signals in or out. It's supposed to
Okay.
be operational and everything's gone silent. And they don't know why. So she's sent to observe to observe that science station, and of course they get there and they start fighting. There's all kinds of problems with said science station, including some very, very large bugs that are very creepy. But I fell in love with the story because of the cast that comes around her, because she's always operated very much detached. The idea of family is completely foreign to her,
Yeah.
and all the humans that she's surrounded with, I mean, she is human, but all the normal humans that she's surrounded with really start to push back on that, especially when some things happen and she loses some of her normal coping mechanisms and stuff that she's been trained to use to stay unbiased.
Oh, yeah.
And it really is, even though it's called science fiction, in a lot of respects, it is a beautiful exploration of what it means to be human,
I
what
love
it
that.
means to have human relationships, the complexities of what that looks like. Um, and like I said, the cast that she gets surrounded with that sit there and just kind of keep poking at her humanity, from Nate Timmons, who is just this outgoing, no, I'm not going to accept that answer kind of guy, to the very almost abrasive uh, Du Bois who loves to knit. It's one of those interesting character juxtapositions. She's just a fun character who she has some weird combinations you just don't expect from her. You
Okay.
have Kylie, who's one of the kids and kids, she's a teenager, um, of one of the other scientists tied to the space science station, who just has a really huge, big heart for people. The doctor on board who has a wish to um, remind people that they're unique and they're special.
Yeah.
Um, and of course, we've got
I
things like
love that.
cats around that makes it really fun because she doesn't know what to do with those animals that you treat as pets.
Yeah.
What you do with cats in outer space is just way too much fun, especially if you lose anti-gravity. Oops.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's
It
just
sounds
a
like it's
really great
fun.
character
Yeah.
cast, and watching how each of those characters are unique in themselves and then how their interactions end up um, changing each other, changing their perspectives of things, smoothing out rough edges, or pushing someone over the edge in case of dealing with some of the villainous characters. Yeah, it's a really amazing set of characters and watching their interactions.
Yeah. Oh, I'm so intrigued. I'm adding The Recorder by Kathy McCrum to my list.
It's a great story.
Yeah. What's the second book you brought today?
My second book is called The Ark and the Reed and the Fire Clouds. So I completely jumped styles and genre with this one. That's by Jenny Coate. This one is actually a children's book. It's written technically for mid-grade, although
Fun.
it's
Okay.
really heavy book. It's like a 500-page book for a mid-grade reader. So,
Yeah.
for that 8 to 12 bracket, this is a heavy book. But and this story it's historical with a mix of fantasy. The series gets
Okay.
more historical the further you go in, but there's always a fantasy twist to it. Because basically she's following historical events through the eyes of an animal character cast.
Oh,
So
okay.
this specific one is talking about the Noah's Ark story from the Bible. It's talking about
Love it.
all the animals, and it's coming like I said, from the animal point of view primarily. So you're following all the animals as they show up at the ark and then board
Okay.
the ark and then are stuck on the ark for a year.
So do
So
they have voices in this book as well?
they talk to each other. The
Okay.
humans don't hear them, but they talk to each other. So they're very, very sentient in that respect.
Yeah.
So they talk to each other. So like I said, it's all through the animal point of view in that respect. And again, huge assemble a cast because you're gathering all the animals from all
Yeah.
over the world, because you have to have representative of all the animals on the ark. But you basically follow four basic animals. You follow the original dog pair and the original cat pair. She sets them out. You
Yeah.
have Maximilian, Braveheart the Bruce. I will spare you the bad Scottish accent because he's a
I
Scottish
love that
Terrier.
name.
Oh, he's great. He is one of those. He's a Scottish Terrier. He is afraid of nothing except water, and there's a lot of water between him
And
and the ark, and then he gets stuck on a boat. surrounded by water. This is not a good combination for the poor dog. He's paired with Kate, who is a white Westie. She's got the biggest heart. She cares about everything and everyone. She's so compassionate. And then you follow the two cats, and you meet the Irish cat Al. I won't pronounce his full name, but Al is the quintessential Freddy cat. He is
Okay.
terrified of everything,
I have a cat like him.
and he loves food. Oh, he loves
Mm,
food. In fact, on the Ark, he does a breakfast run every morning to the monkey's pen, a few this cells down, whatever you want to call it, pens
sure.
down, because on the Ark, in her version, the Ark magically takes on the environment of each of the animal groups, so that the polar bears have someplace cold to live,
There you go.
versus the tigers that need something hot, or the elephants. So he makes a run down to the monkey pen to get bananas every morning because
How
he loves his
fun.
food. And then he's paired with a black French cat named Lizette or Liz. And she is the very quintessential princess prissy cat who's very hyper intelligent. She loves to learn. She wants to know about everything. In fact, it's quite the faith journey for her because she wants explanations for everything. And walking into the Ark where there's not a lot of explanations is very hard for her.
Yeah.
So they're quite the pair. So you get Al, who seems to be completely spacey, afraid of everything. Although it's amazing what kind of oddball wisdom comes popping out of his mouth at the oddest of times.
How fun.
And then you get Liz, and then like I said, the whole animal crew. You get to meet all kinds of animals. You Liz, Russian polar bears, so they talk with a Russian. She does accents beautifully in the book. You got the Aussie kangaroos, and then and just watching how the animals try to even entertain themselves on the Ark for a year. You're stuck on the Ark for a
Yeah.
year. What are you going to do? So the flamingos start an aerobics class during the middle of the night when the humans aren't awake. And there's a little bit of a mystery going on because somebody's trying to kill the humans. Because if you can kill the humans, God's redemption story is out the window. So
Ah,
someone is trying to sabotage the Ark, and the animals are trying to figure it out. And then I love this, and this is just the beginning of their story, and the cast actually gets larger as they go on because what they're basically done is happens is they are granted immortality from God to follow human history. So you'll go from
oh,
here to
fun.
Joseph in Egypt. You'll follow them through the prophets. You'll watch them walk through the birth of Christ, the life of Christ. Her most recent set of the books on this, they're actually working their way through the American Revolution. It's a fabulous series, and
I am so
in
happy you introduced me to this.
yes, so it eventually ends up being a total of the seven animals in this little character cast, and then all the other people that they meet along the way. So I
Oh,
love the humor, love the
yeah.
characters,
And I
love the
have two
history.
middle grade readers in the house. So I'm like, okay, this is maybe the Easter basket.
That would be great, and it keeps them busy. It's one of
Yeah.
the things I love about it because the books are thick. You have avid readers. People are always asking me when I do like homeschool comment, I have an avid reader who's 8 year old, but I need something that's age appropriate that's going to keep them occupied. So it's like, look, 500-page book for
Yeah,
an
we
8
go
year
to
old.
the library and my she's gonna be 8. She'll get
Mhm,
like 10 books and she flies through them like because
mhm.
we homeschool too. So I'm like, I can't give her books fast enough, to keep her entertained enough. So I'm so excited that you introduced me. So okay, hold on 1 second because this is
Okay,
not I'm gonna walk them out of here
okay, that's
to the
fine.
bed really quick and then I'll be right back if you're okay with that. Okay,
I'm
hold on one
perfectly okay.
sec.
I totally get it again. Go. You know,
Okay,
that's where
hold
they
on.
belong.
Okay. I gave them a book. I turned on the white noise because they can hear a car alarm. And I'm like, well, it's got to be the neighbor. It's not my car. So sorry about that. We got white noise. We
That's
got
okay.
books. Hopefully, we're almost there. Oh, I'm so sorry. Do you have kids too?
I do not have kids, but I have five nieces and a nephew whom I'm very actively involved with. So
Yeah.
I've worked with them a lot. I totally get the kid thing.
Okay. I was like, oh my goodness, here we go. You just when you think I like,
Mhm,
we've talked about it all day. Like, I'm gonna have this recording. You're gonna, read books. We'll
mhm,
get you all ready for bed and just hang out. You guys can even sleep together because they don't share a room.
mhm. Well,
So, but anyways, okay. So that was The Ark, The Reed, and the Fire Cloud by Jenny Coate. And then what's the last book you brought today?
I'm going to jump genres again. This
Love
time I'm
it.
going to Crisscross by C.C. Warrens. This one is contemporary adult suspense,
Okay.
hardcore suspense. This is the kind of that you don't want to start at night because it's not
Okay.
good for the brain.
I love
Um,
that you give that disclaimer.
uh-huh. She writes intense stuff. And she has some she runs into in later books, she has some stuff that pops up. She handles everything really well, and she's got her trigger warnings in all of her stuff to warn
Oh,
you that
great.
this is an issue
Okay.
because she does deal with some pretty heavy dark topics in some of her books, but it's all listed on her website. She'll give you every trigger warning in each of her books, then what
Perfect.
you'll find. So if that's an area of concern.
Yeah.
But the story opens with Holly. She is a young lady hiding out in New York City, I believe it is. Um, she's being stalked, big spots. But what's kind of interesting when she opens the story with this is she has no memory, I think, before the age of 10. So it's a completely blank
Okay.
slate. And the person stalking her comes from that 10-year period. And so she does not know who's
Yeah.
stalking her or why they're stalking her. She just knows she is being stalked. So
Yeah.
it's a stalker story that then ramps up into a really dark stalker story in the next two books. But it's she does such a great job of balancing the dark and the gritty and the human with hope and light and a lot of humor. Again, I picked it because I love the ensemble cast. I think
Yeah.
of all the books I've read, this is one of my top three for most multi-dimensional characters, as in I could talk about them all day. I would actually recognize them on the street, which that's not a thing I say very lightly.
Yeah.
I don't have very many books. I said somewhere in the top three of what I would consider very believable characters. That these are like fully human. I could so see actually meeting these people on the street. So I mean, as much as you have Holly, she's very quiet, she's very short, she comes across a little mousy because of some stuff in her back history. But then you get that paired with that, she loves marshmallows, all things marshmallows. Marshmallows is a food group, right? Her humor, her ability to endure is just astounding. Um, I mean, I think that I got hooked on the book when I got to the end of the first chapter, and she's basically like, "You can survive anything with Jesus and chocolate," and I'm like, "I'm sold."
I love
I
it.
get this character. And then she gets paired with all of these people who keep, again, she's trying to stay isolated because of the stalker issue, but the people that, because of being stalked, that get pulled into her life just won't
Yeah.
let her face it alone. So she has the New York detective who's actually from the deep South and has a deep Southern twang, who ends up kind of adopting her as a daughter. Um, she calls him her sweet tea at one point, which is way too funny because she's completely out at that point because she's been
Yeah.
drugged. It's very funny. Uh, you have her best friend who's actually in a wheelchair, which is a really fun character to have in a fiction book,
Yeah.
um, who is all bone and steel. Nothing going to phase her. And she has a shoe fetish. So she's always trying to talk Holly into nice, cute shoes. And Holly's like, those are impractical for running in.
Yeah.
Um, uh, you have Marx's, which is the main detective. His partner is Sam, who is a complete germaphobe. You would not think a hard-boiled detective of being a germaphobe, but he's a complete germaphobe,
Yeah.
which is hilariously funny when he starts pulling out the um, disinfectants and stuff. Um, and eventually you start wrapping other characters in. There's a childhood best friend that ends up getting pulled into the story and then falls into the next set of books. Um, he has very vivid memories of their childhood together, and
Yeah.
he's been looking for her for years after she disappeared. So hopefully that doesn't spoil anything too much for any of the readers, but it's
Yeah.
listen, I love these characters. I said I could talk about them all day.
And you
So
said
we'll
it's a
see how stuff.
series too, right? So
It is
there's
a
more than one
series.
book. Okay.
Oh yeah, it there's what is she now up to? It's a very long running series. Technically it's two series, but I count them all as one because it's one continuous running story. So she has the original three stories that she did for Holly. And then she stepped aside and did a little bit more with Marks, which is the detective,
Okay.
because he's helping because of the case that she's involved in. She's getting pulled into a massive trial in those books. So you see him more as a predominant character, but it's all the same character cast.
Okay.
And then we flip back into Holly's stuff for, I think she's now up to three, or I don't know if book four in that set is now
Okay.
releasing. I don't remember, but yeah, she's got a slew of them
Yeah.
out
So
now.
if you enjoy it, you got plenty of books to dig
You
into.
if you fall in love with the characters in book one, they just get better the further you go in the series. So
I love that.
if you like the
Okay.
balance of the suspense, the humor, and the really great character cast, yeah, you've got lots of material. And she's still writing
I
the
love it.
series.
Perfect. So that was Crisscross by C.C. Lawrence, right?
Mhm.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for bringing those books with you today. I'd love to end our show with a speed round of questions you can answer really quick. Are you a rereader?
Generally, no. I have a very long memory with story. I've apparently freaked people out when I start describing a story in a decent amount of detail. A book I've read once 20 years ago. I'm told this is unusual. So I'm generally not a rereader. The book has to be really special. So a book that either really connected with my heart, A Little Princess, I've read basically every year since I was about 10,
Yeah.
or a story that really resonated me, usually in spiritual threads. Kathy Tyer's Firebird, I've read multiple times. A lot of the works by Sharon Hink, her fantasy stories, I've read multiple times. So,
Yeah.
and I have several classics that I return to every so often just because I just love them. So,
Yeah.
but generally not a rereader. Besides, there's
Yeah.
too many new other books to read.
I know. And like we said, we have so little time for our TBRs, so we got to keep moving. What is one book you've read that has changed your life?
That's a hard question for me to answer because the impact of a story tends to be in small increments.
Yeah.
Um, and trying to wrap my brain around one book that's had like a significant, measurable, or obvious impact is really hard. Um, the closest thing I've been able to come up with thinking about it is interestingly, again, a kid's book by the name of The Bandit of Ashley Downs by
Okay.
Dave and Nita Jackson. It's an old historical book. It's historical fiction. I fell in love with it when I first read it. I must have been maybe 7 years old at the time.
Okay.
It's a historical, like I said, historical fiction. It's about a real person by the name of George Mueller, written from a fictitious child's point of view, who ended up living in the orphanages that George Mueller ran. George Mueller was a Victorian, uh, as a real person. He ran some of the first orphanages for those who were not
Wow.
privileged.
Okay.
Ashley Downs is the orphanages he ran.
Sure.
Um,
Okay.
that book, as I fell in love with the kid. I ended up revisiting that entire series, the Trailblazer series, as an adult, just as kind of a refresher course on church history in a fun way. And I fell in love with the story all over again. Fell in
I
love with the
love
person
that.
of George Mueller. He's just a fascinating man. That then ended up triggering me reading a short kids biography called George Mueller, uh, The Guardian of Bristol's Orphans, I believe it is, by
Okay.
Jeanette and Jeff Benge. It's
Yeah.
so, which gave me a really good view of his overlife. And that just grew my fascination more, which then led me to I'm now actually reading his autobiography called A Life of Trust.
I love
And
that.
I have a feeling I'm not through that book yet, but just all of my indulgence into learning about his life, I can already tell is going to have a long-term impact on me.
Yeah.
The man's faith is incredible and of a quality that I don't see very often. He very the hallmark he was known for was the fact that he ran these orphanages, basically a nonprofit type organization. He refused to ask for anything. He
Wow.
said he wanted to prove to people that God was still very much alive, active, and listening. So he was determined to ask God only in basically in prayer. He would not tell people that he was in need so that he could prove that it was God responding to his prayers. And
Wow.
he has incredible stories of God's provision, and he puts a completely different spin on walking by faith than you usually see.
Yeah. Oh, well, thank you for introducing me to him. I need to go look him up now. I'm like, I want to know more. So thank you for sharing that.
Mhm.
Where is your favorite place to read?
Well, sort of like what's my favorite genre to read? Pretty much anywhere. If I got a
Anywhere with
good
a
book,
book.
I really don't care. Um, I guess if I had to pick a place, I have a couch that I like to sit on sideways with my legs draped over the armrest and
Yeah.
curled up with a fuzzy blanket. That's a comfortable place for me to read. But I'll read there. I'll read laying on the floor with the same blanket over my head. I'm such a kid still at heart in some ways. Read in bed, read in the car, read
Yeah.
waiting at an appointment. If I have a chance, I will read.
Yeah. There you go. I'll read anywhere. Lastly, what are you reading next?
What am I going to read next? Well, my plan. Now, I do tend to be a little of a mood reader, depending on my feels of what I want to read at a given time. But my plan is to do the brand new release by Kathy Tyers called Firebreak. Again,
Okay.
that's one of the few books I've actually reread is her original Firebird trilogy.
Yeah.
That Firebird trilogy is actually why I write in the fantasy and science fiction genres, because I fell in love
Fun.
with her world of Lady Firebird. So she has a brand new story being released in that world with that set of characters, and it's called Firebreak. And I'm really looking forward to reading it and returning
Oh,
to
I'm
old friends.
excited for you. That sounds awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show with me tonight. I know your time is precious and I appreciate all you've given me.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate you taking the time to do this and helping us and helping other readers find more books to read because we all need more books to read.
Absolutely, always.
Always.
Thank you. Thank you so much for listening to this episode today with Chawna Schroeder, including her book flight of large character ensembles with found family themes. We'd love to hear what other books you'd pair with this book flight at bookishflights.com. If you enjoyed the show, please head over to Apple Podcasts and leave a review. Your review not only helps the show, but it also helps the podcast to reach others. Make sure you are subscribed on Apple Podcasts or Spotify to make sure you will not miss an episode. That's it for today. Thank you so much for listening. As Emma Thompson said, I think books are like people in the sense that they'll turn up in your life when you most need them. Cheers to you, dear readers. Until next time.